All right, and we are live. 3, 2, 1. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum, guys. Welcome to the Ummahpreneur live podcast, where I interview Muslim entrepreneurs that are involved in different types of startups, whether it's in the tech world, in the fintech world, or even in service, providing services, coaching, consulting, etc. And today I have with me none other than brother Sakib Ahmed. And now, this is a very dear brother. He was actually introduced to me by Mudassar, who came on another episode. And Sakib works with MiniDeed, which is a new app that helps you actively make a difference with every like, right? So now actually social media makes a difference, which is amazing. You get to share your thoughts, you get to connect with like-minded people, and instantly donate 1 penny or pence, if you're in the UK, to causes that matter to you when you like their posts. A bit about Sakib: he's part of the 4-person team, so they're a small team right now working on the project, and he started over 2 years ago, and he's helped grow the platform. He's helped build partnerships with charities and communities, and he helped raise over £26,000 just through Pennies, right? So I want to give you a big welcome, Sakib. MashaAllah, we're so excited to dive into this conversation. Jazakallah khair for joining me.
Assalamu alaikum, Abi. Jazakallah khair for having me. Looking forward for us speaking. Yeah.
Definitely. It's an honor to have you, brother. So we got people connecting right now, mashallah, hopping on. So guys, if you're watching us, say salam in the comments. As always, this is live and we want to know how you guys feel about what we talk about. And the best place to start, Sakib, is I want you to share with me a little bit before we talk about MiniDeed and what you guys do, which I believe is absolutely amazing. I want you to share with me how you even joined the team. So what was the story like? Was it just a friend who called you up and said, hey, we need you? How did that happen?
That's an interesting question. So how I joined MiniDeed. So the story started around 2 years ago, where I work at a investment bank, and like we kind of there's a co-founder that I met, the co-founder of MiniDeed that I met there, and it was very casual. So me and Mehdi, this guy, we used to go down to the prayer room like to pray Zohar every day, right? And usually after praying, we used to have like a bit of small talk about like, yeah, how's everything going? How's the things you're working on? And one day I asked him, right, small talk again. I was like, how's it going? And he misheard it as, how's the app going? And he started talking about this app where he said, we're working on it. It's pretty cool. And then and he showed me a version of the app. So it's a version that you probably not many people have seen, but that was the first version of the app. And he showed on this like, little tiny Android phone where he was showing me what it was, and I immediately clicked with the vision, right? I immediately clicked with the concept. I found this concept really, really cool, right? And it's about into social media where your likes are actually micro donations. So I loved it instantly, and I told him that I myself could see myself using this app, and my interest started growing more in that. From that, so like our kind of small talk became more MiniDeed focused about how's it going and what you're working on, and to the point where I've become so invested in the app that I ended up telling him that I really wanted to join the team, and I helped in different ways that we're going to cover, obviously. But yeah, that's like kind of the story of how I kind of stumbled just from it, or just little small talk in the prayer room that a lot of us have in the workplace, to joining a rising startup, which journey has been really amazing.
MashaAllah, that's awesome. I'm really so happy to hear that story. And it almost sounds like, the story when Mark Zuckerberg invites his friends in Harvard to his kind of dorm room, and he tells them about this crazy idea called Facebook. And then, people walk out, but then I believe 2 of his friends stayed. I forget their names off the top of my head, but these 2 friends are not billionaires, guys. So hopefully, inshallah, that's going to be the case with you guys too, and with MiniDeed, but in a nonprofit way. So walk us through, actually, is MiniDeed a nonprofit, or is it a for-profit, but you help charities? How is it structured?
So MiniDeed is one best way to describe it is a social enterprise, and
okay.
I think the idea of how MiniDeed came about was through one of the co-founders, who came across a post by I'm not sure if you remember Bana Alabed, the little girl that used to tweet about her situation in Syria when the situation in Syria was very, very active, and Twitter picked that up and it went really viral, right? It went in terms of different different news channels, and Mehdi and these co-founders, they wanted to help, but they couldn't figure out how to help her, right? And MiniDeed was conceived from this. It's a social media platform where you can do more than just like the post and directly donate to make a difference. So it's a platform where you don't just raise awareness, but you can go beyond that and directly make a difference, and connecting awareness with action. And yeah, so that's kind of the idea came about. That's how the idea came about, and I'm happy to talk through more the vision or things like that.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So, I love that you shared with us how the idea came about and what you guys are developing right now. Now, what was MiniDeed like? You mentioned that a little bit. It was kind of just an app on a smartphone. A lot of people, they think about when they want to build a platform as an entrepreneur, or a social media app, or even just an app that does a small specific function that they want to help bring to the industry. They always picture this magnificent app that has all these features and it's fully built out, and it looks like what these social media apps are like today when you go on Instagram and Facebook and they have all these features. But we all know that's not how it starts, right? You have to start with a minimum viable product. So let me tell you, is that what you guys also did with MiniDeed? Was that your approach? Did you just create a minimum viable product? And what's the difference between your first version and where you are today? If you could just share some of that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, sure. And yeah, that's exactly what we did, right? We tried to identify the minimal viable segment and the minimal viable product to actually meet those needs. And you're right. I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs fall in the trap of, that their product has to be really perfect. And like even the version we have right now, we were constantly working to build more features to enhance it. And I think we're working towards a lot of things in the background that you'll be able to see to enhance it. But you should genuinely just look into if there's a need, how do I meet that need and get something out to the people, right? In terms of and refine it. And that's what we're kind of constantly trying to do. We're trying to refine it based on the feedback we're getting and implement new features. And the feedback has really been valuable over the past year.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Can you share with me a little bit about what it looked like in the first version? Because right now, you can go on the app and it's really nice visually. You can just simply click on the button, you donate instantly, and you kind of scroll through. It has a beautiful feed. What did it look like? Do you remember what it looked like 2 years ago when you first joined? Did it look any different?
So that one, the co-founders built the first version themselves, and I remember it's quite funny actually, because the first meeting where I had with both co-founders, that was the first time that I was introduced to the other co-founder, and I literally had the app open and it says, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that, and this could be better. What about this and this and that? But how it looked, the concept was still the same. The concept of liking and donations, so that was still the same. We did a lot of improvements towards the UI and the UX to make it more friendly. I think one thing that I'm really a fan of right now is the actual donation button, where if you get a chance, like if you tap that, our little MiniDeed balloon will float up to the actual fundraising part. But so in terms of, we had the concept built, and it didn't look the prettiest, but it was a feed where people can post with the charities that they wanted to support, and what we did is kind of built on that, and got to the app where it is today. And we're looking into improving that more as we're going along, and we have some exciting things in the pipeline for that.
Yeah, definitely, inshallah. And I'm actually on the app right now, and it's really active, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm seeing posts. I mean, if I just look right now, 4 minutes ago, 6 minutes ago, 7 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, 12. So, I mean, in the last 20 minutes, I'm seeing at least 10, 20 posts right now. So, mashallah, you guys have, a really active community here. I want to ask you, because I know, Sakib, that you've helped actually with that, and you've helped get the word out about the platform, get users on board. So can you share with me a little bit about how you did that? What was your approach? And especially because as entrepreneurs, when we start off, we don't have a lot of funds. So I'd love to hear how you did it and what was your approach like?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things we did when we built this version was we went to my university. And so we have something in the UK called Freshers' Fair. Oh, you must have the same in Canada, right? In terms of a fair where a lot of university students, new university students, come to see what the uni offers. So we ended up going to my uni, and we set up a store. We set up a MiniDeed store, with giving out freebies like pizza and sweets and chocolates. But also we did something. We set up a balloon pump challenge, which was quite fun. It was literally like we put a balloon on a pump, and we time how quickly people can pump it to pop the balloon. And it was a leaderboard. And while they're doing that, we tell them about the app and introduce them to the app. And that's one of the first things we did to for our launch, right, in terms of increasing our presence.
I don't think I've ever heard of that as a marketing method ever. This is the most interesting way to market an app that I've ever heard in my life, to be honest. That's amazing, mashallah.
Yeah, because the way we had loads of ideas of what we want to do. Like I really wanted something that would grab people's attention, and like something that kind of reflects our brand, right? And like our MiniDeed logo is a balloon, and so this was a really great way to grab people's attention and then tell them about the app. And it was from that what we did when we launched, and then from that we kind of I created a video. It's a very simple screen recording video of the app that you see right now. Of hey guys, look, this is a simple way that you can donate on MiniDeed. And it was literally me with a voiceover. It didn't even have my face in it. I was just scrolling, and I just put that on my social media platforms, and that's when we also generated a buzz, right? And people use that to people saw that, they downloaded the app, and so wow, this concept is really cool, and more people started talking about it, and it had like a snowballing effect from there on. So so those are the things that we did early when we joined.
So it sounds like you're really on the ground floor, and you're really there just looking for different ways, creative ways to get the word out. And mashallah, like I said, the activity with the balloon popping. So you did a lot of local events as well, from it sounds like. And a lot of people, when they develop an app, they don't think of that. They think everything has to be online, right? And getting the word out through social media, of course, is an amazing way organically. The first users you should get on board are your friends and family, right? These are the people that are going to support you. You can get their feedback. You can have them test. But you also went and you did local events, which for someone who is creating an app, they might think, why don't we just focus online? So walk me through that. Why did you do local events? Is it because it was just a simpler way of getting the word out for you, or is it that you're comfortable setting that up? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because we always and one thing that I always say is that you should always look for the opportunities that are near you, and like what opportunities can you exploit. And what this store was it coincided well, because Freshers' Fair was around was really close. And we kind of we spoke to the to organizers, and the fact that I was already a university student at that place helped as well. But we managed to get a store. I think it's great because of the app itself, the market itself, right? It's students are active on social media, so it seemed like a great way to kind of meet a lot of people, meet a lot of people that could be potentially interested. Like the student activism is very common, right? And people are passionate about causes, and they're a lot passionate during that phase of their time. So it seemed like a really good opportunity to kind of do things on the ground, and and it was genuinely fun, like having real interactions with potential users. I think that's a really great thing that and social media is great for a lot of reasons. But one of the things that you don't have is the real life interactions with potential customers or potential users. And so that opportunity presented itself, and we thought it would really it'd be a really good opportunity to seize.
That definitely, mashallah. And it's just such a great takeaway for people who are listening right now, because the people who listen to this, the majority are Muslim entrepreneurs, and they listen to this and they want to get ideas, they want to know how to grow their business. And right now, this was such a beautiful gem to take away, which was look at the local events that are happening. And of course, right now with the pandemic, there aren't many local events. So unfortunately, that is a little downside. But inshallah, once they start back up, then it's a great way to get the word out. It's a great way to let people know about your business, about what you're working on. It's not just all online, right? And as you mentioned, you get that real human interaction, which is always so valuable as a founder, as an entrepreneur, because you want to get that feedback. How do you make your product better? Now, I know that you also, Sakib, mashallah, you mentioned that you were able to build partnerships with charities, and you needed to get these charities on board. And that's a key part of MiniDeed, which is you're trying to help charities, get more funding. And so what was your approach like? Because a lot of people develop apps and businesses where they need to make partnerships, right? And so what was your approach in building those partnerships? Is there anything that you could share with us?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's interesting because prior to joining MiniDeed, I had a lot of I had some experience, and I was active in the community in terms of working with different community organizations and working with charities, which I really love doing. So so what one of the things that we did to kind of entice charities is some of them were actually physically going into the branch. I remember, like, for one example was one of my friends' sister kind of worked for one of the charities, and they made the introduction, and I literally was pitching physically in their branch about, look, this is a really cool, this is a way, here's some free money, we're going to offer you free money. And that's literally what the concept is. We'd onboard you on the platform, and people would start fundraising for you, and that's one of the things that we kind of sold. But it is quite difficult, but I don't think it hasn't been always smooth sailing, right? And we've built partnerships. It leads to a snowball effect where there's some, when it gets easier, but there's some cases where you pitch it and you come across roadblocks, right? Some people don't see the vision of it, or some people don't see the traction of it. And especially when you think of pennies, right? Of like, oh, someone donates 1 penny. Like, you really have to sell what it could be rather than what you see right now. So
Right.
And that's the thing that we had roadblocks in. But
yeah, that's a key aspect, because how does someone do that? Because when it comes to getting that consumer adoption, the first few users or the first few clients, if you're a coach consultant, it's always the hardest, because you don't have a proven track record, you don't have a proof that, look, we can deliver on our promises and we can help your business. And so your pitch has to be amazing. It has to be focused. It has to bring something new. It has to be innovative. It has to give value essentially to the people that you're pitching to. And a big mistake that I see is, and people even do this when they reach out to me, they reach out on LinkedIn or Facebook, and they're like, hey, can I get this from you? Can you do this for me? And the first thing that you have to do when you reach out to organizations, charities, or people that you could benefit from is to first give value, right? And was that your approach? Did you approach it from a perspective of here's what we can do for you rather than here's what you can do for us?
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of it's in two folds, right? Because with charities, you have to like sell them the value that they're getting with being a charity on our platform, and that's the way we frame it. But there's also the really cool thing is, due to the nature of what we're building here, and selling that vision, that you naturally get supporters from it, people who really like the vision, and some of the partnerships that we formed with some community organizations just simply wanted to help, right? And that's what's really cool about what we're building here, and it makes that easier. And so organizations like Islamic makers, they were really supportive. They collaborated with us on our Ramadan campaign, and sharing the word out and sharing it with the community. But these are the things that kind of we've naturally built supporters because of the vision, because of what we're trying to build here. And that's one really good thing that I really like about MiniDeed.
Right. And so that's the thing, there's a certain purpose behind what you're doing, and there's a certain mission that you're trying to achieve. And so people can get behind that. And I think that's also a great takeaway in that, for the people watching, the people that will listen to this later, that when you have a mission behind what you do, even if you're just, and we have a lot of coaches, consultants, service providers that listen to this, even if you're just someone, for example, who helps, you're a coach and you're a relationship coach and you help people in terms of, bettering their relationships, improving their relationships, or maybe you have a product or service and it's something as simple like, a more comfortable office chair. But what is the mission behind that? Even with products, maybe you could add a mission of, okay, well, for every sale, we're going to make a certain donation towards a charity for sustainability, right? Or we're going to add a certain cause that we support, and that when someone buys, that we're going to make sure that we extend some of that towards that cause. So it's always good, especially I think now with a lot of companies, they're becoming more mission focused. They're becoming more purpose focused, right? They realize that now people don't really care anymore if you're a for-profit, right? People don't care about you wanting to make money, but they're going to support you if there's a deeper vision, if there's a deeper mission behind what you do, mashallah. So it's a great takeaway as well that you shared, and I want to thank you for that. I want to ask you, where do you see MiniDeed going in the future? Because right now in its current state, mashallah, it's already popping off. And I want to know, what are your plans? Where do you want to take this? And please go ahead and share what you can. If you want to spoil too much, that's okay too.
Good question. What we really want to do is, right, we want to continue serving our users that we do currently, and continue growing.
Mm-hmm.
So people really find out more about what we're building here. And
Right.
I foresee like MiniDeed being the place where like the online community where you drive change from, and we want to continue growing our impact. We reached over 20 countries through simply donations on MiniDeed last year, and we're just getting started, because as we continue building more partnerships, as more and more people find out about the platform and join, these are the things that we want to aim to do. And we by serving our users, what we mean is we're dedicated to continue improving the experience, and these are in the form of small things that we're kind of looking into, small tweaks here and there, but also how can we it continuously improve based on the feedback we're getting from our users, and things that we're kind of looking into, like little things I can tease is maybe you might see a dark mode version of MiniDeed coming very soon. I
That's
know a lot of
amazing.
people love that. And other things that we're looking into, so that like to help people build a habit of one of our strap lines is like, what's your MiniDeed a day? Of like, build a habit of doing something small and doing something good each day.
Right.
And these are the things that we kind of incorporate within MiniDeed, but also from an Islamic perspective, right? Of like, if you can give if you can give a sadaqah daily, it's one
Mhm.
thing that we should aim to try and do, and helping um, build that within our users we're looking into trying to help that move forward as well.
Definitely, Michelle. And I think I want to talk about that for a little bit. And I think you bring up right now an amazing topic, and it's really what MiniDeed helps people achieve. And I think that's the most important thing. And it's what really captivated me about this idea when Mudassar, dear brother, told me about it. And I want to give him a shout out because we had a conversation on this podcast. It was absolutely amazing. I think he's watching right now. And I want to touch upon this because when I discovered and when I went on your website and I saw what it was about, and I saw that this essentially is an application that you can go on, and literally it's a donation of 1 penny, guys. Like you can't even notice. You won't even notice that it left your bank account because it's literally 1 penny, right? So, but it's just, subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that He loves the deeds that are small but consistent, right? Right. And this is something that's been told to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that a small consistent deed is more valuable in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than, big deeds, but that are very few and far between. Right. And so what MiniDeed helps us achieve as Muslims is really just, as you mentioned, build that habit of charity, of giving. And it essentially allows us to accomplish that very saying, that very teaching in our Islamic tradition of doing one small deed every single day, but that is consistent. And what is there more beautiful in our religion, in our Islam, than to give charity, right? Zakat. And it's such an integral part of Islam. And I love that mission. I get excited, as you can tell when I talk about this, because I love it. It's such a great idea. It's, look, 1 penny a day, go 1 penny a day. It doesn't even it doesn't even change anything, but watch how it's going to make such a difference for you on the day of judgment. Watch how it's going to make such a big difference for you in the akhirah, when you do this. And when it's just, subhanallah, you could be there and you have all these sins and all these things that we all struggle with as Muslims, right? No one's perfect. But then maybe, subhanallah, you're going to be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're going to see that just that daily donation of 1 penny is what was able to get you, to overcome, all the sins that we've done, all the mistakes that we've done, and get us, inshallah, to Jannah, which is what we all aim for. And I want to talk to you about that because that mission is so beautiful, man. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm completely, you got my full support on that.
Yeah. So one of the things that vision that we see with MiniDeed is that what I see is that it doesn't become a platform. It's a platform where you don't just raise awareness, but you go beyond that and make a difference. And to not only do this, but we're creating a space where a community can support each other's passion and content through tiny donations to the causes they care about.
Mhm.
And I also like to think that we're building a community of change makers. And that's not just people currently out there already making a difference, who are more than who are really passionate about the app as well. But one thing that I also like to think that we're building, MiniDeed allows people to discover that everyone has the potential to make a difference. And that's one of the things that we really want to achieve. Right? Like one of our co-founders, Pennies, is funny because we will always try and discuss how to simplify what MiniDeed is.
Mhm.
And one of the things that he tweeted was MiniDeed is the democratization of charitable giving and fundraising. And we laughed at that. That's really complicated to say, but the word democratization, the like making it accessible for making a difference, making that accessible to everyone. That's one of the things that we're trying to do here, right? Just by simply making a post that you could help. Your post about what you had for breakfast could help someone put meal on a plate for someone that really needs it, or just think about how easy that's what we're trying to do, how easy it is to make a difference and ignite that bit passion for change makers. And that's and obviously for Muslims that's a really great thing, right? But and we want to make MiniDeed open for everyone, right? Everyone has that potential to make a difference, and we really want to tap into that.
Definitely, mashallah. I completely agree with that mission and vision, to be honest with you. And this is why I wanted to bring you on to talk about that, to bring some exposure to that, inshallah, to bring some light onto what you guys are doing. I just downloaded the app and I know that I'm going to be a user, and I hope that you guys listening will be as well. And especially as entrepreneurs, guys, if there's one thing that we need in our business, it's barakah, right? In our rizq. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tells us, and we are taught through the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and through the righteous companions, that when you give of your wealth, when you give of your mal, what happens, right? What happens? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increases it, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that when we give in charity, it is not actually taking away from our wealth, it is actually adding to our wealth, right? So when you do that as entrepreneurs, as people that own businesses and that are trying to get that risk, right? We're trying so hard so that we can sustain ourselves, our business. What could be better than to get that barakah in our business than to just open up that MiniDeed app and just, go ahead and donate 1 penny every day to just the cause that you care about, that you feel, deserves your support, inshallah. And I think there's nothing better. So that's why I wanted to highlight that. Now, I want to ask you yourself, Sakib, let's get a little bit real here. I want to ask you, you have a background. You're actually still also working in a corporate career, and you work with MiniDeed as well. So you have both experiences, and you're able to kind of gather information and experiences from both areas, which is beautiful. And I love that. I want to ask you on the entrepreneurship side. Okay, get real with me here. I want to ask you, what are the lessons that you learned from the entrepreneurship side, from working with MiniDeed and from being part of this amazing platform?
That's a really great question, and I think I've learned so much while working on this. It's an environment where there's opportunities to learn with every direction that you take. And one of the things that one of the main lessons that I learned was to grow a thick skin, I'd say. It's because one of the things we're trying to build a startup and you're trying to sell a concept is that a lot of people won't understand it. Mm-hmm. And you can't let that get to you, right? You can be ignored 100 times, for example, but the 101st time could be someone that actually picks up and think, whoa, this is really cool. So you need to persevere until you get to that moment. Yeah. And it'll get easier as you grow. Like I want to show people that, like, if you're for Muslim entrepreneurs, if you're feeling like that there's it might be difficult right now to try and entice users, that you got to keep persevering, but that also comes with the balance, right? In terms of I'd also say that, like, you need to really understand if there's a market for what you do. Mm-hmm. and or the idea of the project that you're trying to build. And one thing that I always get when like people who want to start a startup, or like entrepreneurs come to me, is that they have this fully built idea in their head, and this is what they're going to build, and they've not talked to a single person about it yet. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that you should try and avoid. Speak to as many people as you can, get as much feedback as you can as you're growing. And one of the things that and that's one of the things I would really do with MiniDeed, is we're trying to improve based on feedback. And you're right, market research is so important. And some people kind of get bogged down into, like, I want to build this, that they kind of ignore and skip that process. So confidence in your product is key, but do that after you've got the data and after you're convinced that you've got a market for what you're trying to build. So these are the things that I like. These are lessons that I've learned from growing MiniDeed. Another thing that I'd say also is like on the topic of feedback, actually, was that there's this, I'd say sometimes it is irrational, but there's this fear that some people have with their idea. Like their idea is really precious, and they're scared of sharing it because everyone's gonna steal it. Like everyone that you talk to, everyone is your enemy. They're all gonna steal it and become the next Zuckerberg. But but you need to understand that if it's your idea, no one's gonna the likelihood of someone taking an idea and executing it to the passion and executing it to the level that you would want to execute that percentage falls a lot smaller. It falls also smaller when you're talking to friends and family, right? It's people are they really going to go out the way to burn that bridge with you to try and steal this idea? But and most of these answers are no. And like I used to have this fear as well, right? And like a lot of my ideas, like I used to keep it to myself, but I've started becoming a lot more open and just always blurt out my ideas now. And I'm just like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? What do you think of this? And just get as much feedback as I can. And that's one of the things that we should not be afraid of doing. And obviously that still is possibility, but you need to think about you shouldn't be scared. You shouldn't be overly scared of that happening, and prioritize getting feedback from your idea.
100%. So I love everything that you shared, and honestly, these are, if people can get these principles, if they can understand these principles and follow them, they're going to have a much easier time growing their business. And subhanAllah, you mentioned that point of people being scared. You know, I can remember so many times where people message me and then they're like, "Brother, I have this thing, but you know, can you promise not to tell anyone?" And it's all that, and it's like, let's be honest, guys. Like, not 1% of you actually do follow through and work on your business. Okay, let's be real here. So don't worry. No one's going to bother stealing your idea, because most people don't even end up working on their own ideas. Let's be real, right? So many people have amazing ideas, and ideas they're a dime a dozen, but who's going to put in the work? So I love that you shared that, and I think that's just a piece of realness on this podcast right now. So thank you. Jazakallah khair. I want to ask you, brother, what is some advice? And we're gonna wrap up with Q&A very soon, inshallah, because I can see there's some comments, there's some questions coming in the comments, guys. So if you have any questions for Sakib about MiniDeed, about himself, his corporate career, his work with MiniDeed, let's put him on the spot right now. So drop your comments drop your questions in the comments, and we'll get to them, inshallah. But Sakib, I got one more for you, brother. What is some advice outside of what you just said as well, because those were gems, but what is some advice you'd give to someone specifically who's interested in building an app? Because I know that's a very competitive space. You need to, at least know a developer or be a developer. It's pretty difficult, but in your experience, I know that you're working on the team. You're not the founder, but from just witnessing what the founders are doing and starting from scratch, what is some advice that you'd give for someone that's interested in starting their own app that's listening to this?
I think... and I get this sometimes as well when you get some startup founders, or like some people come to you with an idea of this is what they want to build, and it's one of the things that we've already touched on previously, that they're always looking to the end product and of the final thing that you really want to build, and you got to understand it's a really long and expensive journey to get to that and to build that traction. So it's what you said, right? Minimal viable, having a minimal viable product for a minimal viable segment that will satisfy your people will engage with your product if you have these features. And like if you ask me, is this the final product? Is this MiniDeed right now in terms of like, is it all polished? It's not all polished. We're continuously working. We will continuously working to try and improve and really work on the app. And I think people, when you come with an idea, when you come with something like that, or really consider the purpose, or really consider what is it that you want to do.
Mhm.
And like I said, it, collect as much data as like you need, and they need to be upfront with you. Like, there's like, would you actually use this? Like,
Right.
they have, yeah.
You can't ask your mom who's going to be like, it's amazing, I love it.
Yeah, exactly. You need to go. You need to find strangers as well. So that's one of the things that you really need to find people who've never come across it before. And like, are this, and if there's the segment you're targeting, would they use the app? And it's like, because a lot of people with ideas, they just see themselves. Oh, I use it, so everyone else is going to use it. And you got to understand that there's a different perspective from you as a builder and you as a creator of something, and you as a user. And these are things that you need to really differentiate yourselves as. You need to separate yourself from from you, whether you'd use it or not, and present the idea, present the concept to people, and say, and ask, would you use it? And these are the things that we looked into a lot before doing it. It took us a while to get here, but we wanted to do this properly, and that's what we've been working on.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah, that's amazing, and I love that advice, to be honest with you. And it really boils it down to the core elements, because people, that's the thing, they want to hear, when you think of even the first car that was made, and you think of Henry Ford, the only thing it had to do was be able to propel itself on 4 wheels, right? It didn't need to have a radio, Apple CarPlay, a Bluetooth, and all of these features that you have now, a rear view camera. The cars didn't have that. Can it run on 4 wheels? Awesome. Is it better than riding a horse? Yes. Let's do it. Let's put it out there. So that's how you want to treat the app, right? So, can it achieve its main function? Okay. And then you can make sure you master that, and then you can add all the bells and whistles. And I think that's the key. So I think that's a great lesson to take away. And I want to thank you for sharing that. Now, we have a few questions, mashallah, coming in through the comments for our Q&A portion. So we're going to dive into those in 1 second. There's one question that I ask every guest. Okay. And this is a little bit, some people, it gives them a little bit of a pause. They got to think about it a little bit. So take your time if you need to, but it's, what is one thing that you would tell Sakib from 2-3 years ago, or even a young Sakib that's growing up, if there's one thing that you could tell him that, would help him on his journey, that he could hold on to as he goes through life? Is there something that you could share with us?
Oh, you really put me on the spot.
I love it. I love this question.
Okay. Advice that I would give myself 3 years ago. I think you should always, if I really gave myself advice, I think it is that remain consistent, and try to remain consistent. That's one of the things that I always trying to tell myself why we do this, and always kind of remember what you're trying to build here, and what your motivations for doing it as well. That's really important, because if you're not honest at yourself at the start of the journey, it's like there's a lot of perseverance that is needed when you're working in a startup. And if you're not honest about that with yourself, then it'll be really difficult for you to carry on when things get tough. So always think about those. I think always think about what you're looking into, why you're doing this, why you want to carry on, and I think that's what, and you always hold on to that to try and remain consistent.
Consistency is everything. I always repeat that to the people that I work with as well, honestly, because again, guys, slow and steady wins the race. It's always a marathon. It's not a sprint. And this spirit is embedded in MiniDeed and in what you guys do every single day. Be consistent, do that good deed, get that hasana every day of donating, of giving in charity. Instead of giving in one shot, $20 and then, waiting till next year, give 1 penny a day and just watch that build up. It's beautiful, mashallah. So we got tons of questions coming in actually for Sakib. So I love you guys. Thank you for sending these in. I can't wait to put him on the spot. So let's go ahead and share that with you, brother. And I'm just saying that because mashallah, talking to you, you seem so familiar. It's as if we've already known each other for such a long time. You're such an easy brother to talk to. So I'm loving this.
You too, definitely.
Appreciate that, brother. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the questions here. We got one which is really, really good. And I love that because a lot of our listeners can relate, which is how do you balance your full-time job with developing MiniDeed, with working on MiniDeed? We have a lot of people, right? They want to start businesses. They want to be entrepreneurs, but they already have a full-time job and they think, I can't really do this because I got my work. So how do you go about balancing the two? Because we know that you do both.
It's a good question, Tanzil. It's a question that I ask myself sometimes because it becomes really hard at times. And people need you need to understand that it's a very expensive time commitment. It's building a startup takes a lot of time, and whatever time you think is going to take, double it and add 10 and that's still not enough. But I think what you need to do is that you make sure you understand that you in terms of time management is key. It's something that I've actually struggled with as well. So maybe I can answer that question a lot better next time you might have me on the podcast, maybe. But I think one of the things that you need to do, one of the things you might see here is this whiteboard. So I have this whiteboard here. I have my task on the MiniDeed task on one side and my work task on the other, and it's and these are okay. It's quite empty right now. So
no, I wanted to highlight it. There you go, so they can see that board. There you go. We're showcasing it.
Yeah. So I've been looking into different ways to manage my time. It's been really difficult, but it's and I'm really grateful for the team to try and step in and and always they're always committed to kind of working on it as well. So
let me ask you, brother, what would you tell someone who wants to do both, right? Who has a full-time job and they're like, I don't have enough time to work on a side project to start a business? Is there something that you could tell them, maybe a little insight based on what you currently do?
Yeah. So I think it's important for trying to set boundaries, I'd say, and that depends on your job as well. So are you able to set clear boundaries with your job in terms of these are the times I'm going to work on it, and then you look at your available time and do you have enough time to kind of do you have enough time to take on a new project as well? And that's something that I've struggled with, but it's and you also try and be conservative. I've become a lot more conservative about taking on projects right now, as opposed to I was 3 years ago where I used to say yes to anything and everything that I like. And it's really painful for me to try and do it because I see so many people doing so many cool projects and I really want to help them, but and I really want to get involved. But know what your commitments are, stick to them, and then look at your available time and see will I have enough to be able to commit to long term, because it is going to be something that that is long term. And one of your Facebook users said sometimes burnout hits. It's true. And that's really common, and I've struggled with that as well. It's about pacing yourself, setting those boundaries, and that's how we move. And that's how you try and move forward. But like I said, I'm not the most experienced to talk about that. It's something that I'm still learning to try and manage as well. And hopefully I can drop more advice on that when I figured it out myself.
Mashallah, definitely. And the comments are popping off with people just saying how much value they're getting out of this. So jazakallah khair for that. I want to ask you, brother, as well. And I think the biggest lesson that people can take away before we move on that I want to highlight from what you said is the importance of saying no. right? I think the key here is knowing that if you want to do both, if you want to be able to work on a full-time job and also maybe start a business, and of course you won't be able to work full-time on that, the key is saying no. The key is saying no when when people ask you, can you help me with this, or can you work on this project, or can you go and hang out with us today? Unfortunately, you're going to have to you're going to have to sacrifice somewhere. That's just the reality of it, right? In the sense that you have 24 hours a day. Those 24 hours, that's it. They're set. And you can only give 24 of those hours to different things. And so what are you going to give them to? That's the important decision to make. If you want to be intentional for that, purposeful for that, then I think there's a way to balance both 100%. Now, we got another question. We got a few more actually, mashallah. So we'll try to get to as many as possible while respecting your time, my man. So let's see. Sanam Sakib, where would you like MiniDeed to be in 3 years' time from now? So we touched upon that a little bit, but let's say 3 years. So this is longer term. What would be your ideal goal that you'd like to achieve, inshallah, in the next 3 years?
I think, I think two things, like I mentioned before, would be to try and continue make the app the best experience you can for users, and continue making improvements to that, and growing out so more people can see what we're building here and want to join the MiniDeed army, as you say, because we've built we built a following of users that are really passionate, and I'm sure there's so many more people that are out there that would really resonate with what we're trying to do here. So it's about it. So we want to continue growing. We want to continue serving our users the best in the best possible way, and so like. These are the things that we want to do in the next few years.
So it's all about, honestly, from what I can hear, it's all about customer focus, right? It's all about making the app a more pleasant experience and just so easy to use that people just feel like, they want to use it and they want to keep using it. They want to keep coming back to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Beautiful. So we got one more from Brother Mudassar. So Sakib, this has been an amazing podcast. Thank you for all the insights. Amazing. Feel the same way, guys. So what advice would you give in terms of ensuring you stick to your morals while you scale up? This is such a great question. I love this question.
Very good question. I think one of the things that we did when we set up, when MiniDeed was set, one of the things that was done when MiniDeed was set up is that we set our values, right? And you can check that on our website where we talk about values. And we had 3 things on that, which was privacy, integrity, and transparency. And these are the things that we're committed to. We don't want to sell personal information. We approve the charities that they're vetted by the charity commission, and try and have integrity in what we're trying to do, and we want to show transparency, right? In terms of we're upfront how we're making more money, in terms of, and as we continue to grow, if you set out the values that you want to stick to, and I think that keeps us accountable to continue. We want to see ourselves as the ethical social media, and that's a really because it is incorporated in our brand. We have a responsibility to that, and I think that gives a level of accountability that we demand, that like our users and everyone else demands from us, that helps us ensure that we stick to them.
Mm-hmm. So it's really insightful, actually. The key here would be to set those values from the get-go, right? From before you scale, from what I understand and what you're saying, which is, map out what are your values for your company. Even if you're just one person, and this is an exercise that I did as well in my agency and with Ummahpreneur. What are our values for Ummahpreneur before we even start to scale and hire a team and hire people? Because when you hire these people that are going to join your organization as you scale up, you want to make sure that they adopt these values, that they, embrace, the values that you want your company to reflect right in their transactions, in the way that they do business. And so it's important to set that from the beginning, and that's how you're able to ensure that you maintain those values as you scale, mashallah. So I want to thank you for that tidbit. We got a number of questions, mashallah. So we're going to try to get to as many as possible, guys. I apologize if we miss one or two, but we'll do our best to get to all of them. So we got a few more, inshallah. This one here, during the early times, I love this one. During the early times of MiniDeed, did you also experience rejection, and how did you manage it, right? A lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, they experience rejection daily when they're trying to start their business, grow their business. Is there any insight that you can share with that?
Short answer, yes. And yeah, so that's why I was saying things about having a thick skin, right? But during the early, I think that's what we need to. You need to persevere. We had rejections, so like from even from people who might not see like the potential of what we're trying to build here, or it's about trying to sell the idea of what it could be. And as you realize that more, it gets easier. And so yeah, we definitely face rejections, and we face and in whatever you set out to do, you're gonna face rejections, right? And some things are like some people might not see the vision, or there's loads of answers why they won't see it. You got to keep going, man. You got to keep having. You got to keep. If you believe in what you're doing, it becomes easier to manage it, and you got to keep telling yourself that it's okay. But make sure one thing that I always recommend doing is get their feedback, or like why did they reject, and so that you can every rejection you take should be should be something you learn from. And that's one of the things that we had when we recruited charity partners, when we recruited when we're trying to get people to buy into what we're trying to do. And it's natural, man. You got to keep going.
100%. It's part of the process, and it's important not to take it personally. And as you mentioned, really the best advice is really just keep going, and you're going to face it and learn from it, which is absolutely amazing and accurate advice. Now we got one more that I'm going to try to squeeze in. There you go. Ooh, so this is, I don't know if you'd be able to answer that, because I know that this is probably more in regards to the founder. Maybe he shared with you the story, but do you know the story behind how the name MiniDeed came about? And if not, that's okay, but let me know if you can share that with us.
Yeah, I'm sorry I don't. So I'm
Awesome.
not the best person to answer that, unfortunately.
So let me tell you guys, why don't you go and direct that question to MiniDeed's Twitter? Go and blow up their Twitter, guys, and go on their Twitter and ask them, how did they come up with the name? And I'm sure they'll give you an answer, inshallah. So make sure to go there and do that. It's Twitter, and the handle is @MiniDeed. So MiniDeed. We got one more question that we'll squeeze in, inshallah. So let me see here if I can pull that up. So we have a question here about monthly analytics. So will you be implementing the monthly analytics into the app? So interesting question here. Do you have any insight in regards to that?
A good question. I won't openly reveal anything yet, but
okay.
we're working into the backgrounds, and I think some people would be happy about what we're trying to build on. So keep your eyes peeled is what I'll say to that question.
Awesome. Beautiful. Well, I love that, brother. So thank you for coming on. If there's any further question, guys, drop them in the comments, and I'll try to see if I can get Sakib to answer them by text, or reach out to him on Twitter as well. You can find him on Twitter @MiniDeed for MiniDeed's account. And you will also find, Sakib, what's your handle so we can share it with people that are listening?
@Mertesakib, so MERTESAKIB.
Okay, beautiful. MERTESAKIB. We'll drop that in the description of the episode, inshallah, as well, so they can reach out to you, connect with you. And is there any other place that you want to drive our listeners to if they can go and support you guys? Of course, we mentioned MiniDeed's Twitter, so go there, guys. Download the actual app. Is there anything else that you recommend people go to support this movement?
Yeah, we appreciate that. So there's a lot of ways that you can support us. Obviously, as we mentioned here, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to grow that out.
Love it.
You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Instagram. And the main thing, you just join the community, download the app, get involved, and that's one of the ways that you can get involved. That's the best way that you can actually join in the community, and I think it's really a really nice community to join. So I'd invite everyone to try out their app, and yeah, I'm more open to all feedback. So any thoughts that you may have, my DMs are always open. You can at us on Twitter, and those avenues are always available. So yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful, mashallah. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Sakib. I can just see from the comments, that everyone just enjoyed this episode immensely. Thank you for sharing. Absolute value. Brilliant episode, mashallah. So thank you to all of the audience who actually tuned in with us. I really want to just express my gratitude to you guys for listening to this podcast and listening to me and to Sakib today, and, just being part of the conversation. And Sakib, I want to thank you as well, extend to you my heartfelt gratitude for coming on this episode, for sharing some information about yourself, about MiniDeed and your project, mashallah, because as we mentioned during the episode, guys, the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that you take up good deeds as much as you're able, for the best deeds are those done regularly, even if they are few. And the best way to do that, guys, as we know of right now, is go on MiniDeed, download the app, and go and start donating, guys. 1 penny a day is all it takes to get that good deed in. And inshallah, you never know, maybe that's the one thing that helps you on the day of judgment. And I know that I need as much help as I can. And so make sure to go and download that, inshallah, guys. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or watching on YouTube, subscribe as well to support us. And join us, inshallah, next episode, which is every Tuesday. Take care, guys. Assalamu alaikum.